His name is Gareth, and he rips bits. His name is Gareth, hence why it's Gareth's.
So good evening, welcome. This is Gareth's. This is improvised stand-up comedy. Everything that I'm about to perform, I've never seen or heard before. So this is improvised stand-up. Everything's on the spot. It's called Gareth's. It's very creative. My name's Gareth. It's riffing. It's great. Yeah, maybe Papa Bear. Shall we begin? So I'm trying to think if there's anything to say. We'll plug the show later. Next week is going to be a Halloween Gareth's. So it's very special. It's very important, and I need you here. All right, let's begin. This first part is called Riffs Just In. These are news stories that I've never heard before. You guys are not going to be able to see the monitor tonight because I know based on your feedback you don't give a shit about that, and I don't give a shit about that. I think the stream will be better this evening. Let's go through it. All right, so the first part, Riffs Just In. These are news stories that I have never seen before. And this first one is, gym declares itself a church to avoid closure under Poland's coronavirus restrictions. Well, that's pretty good. I like that. I like that angle. I think the truth is that, so just to be clear, a gym is now saying that it is a religious facility so that it can continue to have members come in and work out. And to a lot of people, working out is a religion. My body's a temple, so I get it. I pray to it often. I pray to it daily. Sometimes I treat it like an amusement park, but I try not to. But I like this. The truth is, I think that religion is, look, if Scientology can be a religion, a gym can be a religion. Okay? The whole reason why you become a religion is for tax exemption. That's why that's why they do that. That's why when Scientology decided to become a religion, then they just got tax breaks and you couldn't tax them, and that's when they just started making fuck tons of money. Like, you literally do not get taxed if you're a religion. So your pecs do in a gym, though. Your pecs will get majorly taxed. I like that idea. I mean, it's a good loophole. That's what I like about our civilization. You find a problem and we find a way around it, right? It's almost like the law is a rock and we as society are a river, and we will always find a way to go around it and figure out loopholes and that nature. And it's good. And I love the people who insist on going to the gym during the pandemic. That to me is interesting. You know, I get you want to pump, I get you want to work out, but I mean, there could not be a worse place as far as what I understand about how this is transmitted than a gym. It's just a bunch of people huffing and puffing close indoors, close proximity, you know. Do you have to wear the mask when you work out? And also the gym in Poland, what they should do is they should just get a bishop, you know? Like, you just have a guy, like maybe that's how trainers work, that's how the trainers work out the people. You know, you just got a guy in a bishop outfit, like some jack dude is like, "What's up? My name's Tony. I'm the bishop of 24-Hour Fitness. Let's work on your lats today, all right? Again, any religious questions, shoot them this way, you know?" And then you probably have some Christians who are at this gym, you know, in this Polish gym, who are like, "Excuse me, what does it say in Genesis?" And they're like, "Hey, slow down there with your Genesis talk, okay? All I know is Phil Collins was the drummer, and then he moved to lead singer. That's enough. All right, let's do deltoids, all right? I'm Bishop Tony, all right? We're going to do deltoids, then we're going to do lats, then we're going to do squats, all right? Then we're going to do Romanian deadlifts, and we're going to get to the kettlebells, all right? Don't forget, Jesus pumped for your sins, all right? Now, let's do this shit. Do you need any water? We could turn it into wine, whatever you want, you know? So, there you go. That's the first one. All right, let's move on to the next one. The next one is, these are news stories. This one is, largest Chinese restaurant chain Panda Express enters China? What the fuck? Wait, what is happening? So Panda Express is now in China. All right, if you don't know what Panda Express is, let me tell you about my mother's experience with Panda Express. My mother went to Panda Express once and said she's never gotten as sick. The Express is what comes out of your anus after you eat it. And before we get into that, let me tell you one of my more pathetic stories. One time, I was so hungover that I was like, fuck me, I am like dying. This is when I used to eat meat. I'm like, fuck, I'm dying. You know what I need? I need some goddamn Panda Express. And it's not like there was one close to where I lived. I drove probably a half hour to a Panda Express that was in a grocery store, and I went up to the counter, and they're like there, you know, sort of, but like nobody's, like the service is terrible. Like they're just kind of like looking at me, and then I'm like, hello, man, gentlemen ready for Panda? And then finally someone comes up to me and they go, can I help you? And I go, yeah, let me get a family-size orange chicken. And he goes, we don't open until 10 a.m. And I was like, oh. And I looked at my watch and it was like 9:35. I was like, well, I'm out of my mind. Trying to get a family-sized orange chicken, 9:30 in the goddamn morning. It's a good look. But yeah, so they're going to China, which has got to be a weird move because Panda Express this bastardized Chinese food, and we're going there like, hey, you want to have a shittier version? And they're like, no, we don't, you know? So that's exciting. That's exciting stuff. But I mean, I guess in my head, I'm like, well, what if they tried to export like some American place that serves shitty American food? How would we react to it? But then I'm like, McDonald's, Burger King, that we already have those, and we love them. We're like, this is the best. So maybe it'll be a hit. They have an affinity for pandas in Asia, so potentially, you know. I know for a while in the documentary The Cove, they talk about how they're serving people whale meat, so maybe they'll just think it's actual panda, which I hear is tender. You want to get panda tender. As a vegetarian diet the pandas have, they eat nothing but bamboo. It's really good for the muscles. So when you're actually ingesting the panda, falling off the bone. It's adorable. All right, next one. Let's see here. Bay Village priest says someone called the police about a homeless person, but it was a statue of Jesus. Well, I mean, to be fair, Jesus has always had that sort of hobo vibe, right? Like if Jesus like came back today, you know, they always talk about in the Bible how Jesus is going to come back. If he came back, people would just be like, look at this fucking loser beatnik, you know? Just in like a towel and sandals with a beard, long hair, you know? Just touching a bunch of people, probably talking to strangers. People would be like, buddy, look, I know you're on hard times, but would you shut the fuck up? He's like, I'm Jesus Christ. And we're like, yeah, I know, we've heard that. Look, next time you're going to pick someone to be, pick someone a little more grounded. Everybody goes with Jesus or Santa, all right? Just fucking calm down. He's like, I died for your sins. It's like, oh my God, would you stop? Look, if you're looking for a place to worship, there's a gym right over there that's pretty good. I think you'd go meet Bishop Tony. He's unbelievable with the delts. He's the best. But I also like the idea now that we live in a world where people just call the police for homeless people. Clearly, this is a homeless person in the person's head who called, who's literally just laying there. Maybe not laying there, but laying there like this or something, you know, on the ground, arms spread, and they're like, oh, this can't happen. You know? Well, what the fuck? Why do you fucking call the police on a homeless person who's just there? That's bullshit. That sucks. Right? Just laying there and you're like, oh, that's not okay. That's public property. If you have a problem with homeless people, buckle the fuck up because our government has decided to double them. And that's what's happening. So, yeah. So next time you see a homeless guy in the park sleeping, don't call the police and even do one further. Go over and make sure it's not Jesus because there's a good chance it is. You know? He's got that real homeless vibe. Especially if he came back like fresh from the cross, kind of bloodied. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to dip too far into this stuff, but, you know, he would be, you'd look at him, you'd be like, this Jesus, you know, it would be like Encino Man. You'd be like, you're coming to my apartment, we're going to shave that beard off, give you a haircut, and put you in a three-piece suit. You'd be like, no, really? He'd be like, come on, come with me, buddy. All right, we're going to get you in a bathtub. We're going to have a montage today. What'd you say your name was again? Jesus H. Christ. Okay, all right, Jesus. I'm just going to call you J-Bone. How's that sound? Not good. Look, I'm here to take all the sinners away and to take the chosen people up into heaven with me. Well, before you do that, you're going to come to Burbank with me. We're going to dip you in the tub. We're going to start washing that hair, get you a little head and shoulders, and we'll really massage it in the scalp, a little conditioner, do a mud mask sort of thing, and then we're going to trim that beard down to a nice little goatee. It's almost Movember. You might want to get ahead of that. What is Movember? Well, that's where we all grow mustaches, and we try, it's to raise cancer awareness. I can cure cancer right now. Okay, buddy, look, we had some fun, But now you're getting a little too weird. All right? Now, come on. We're going to go order a pizza. We're going to get you in the bath. We're going to dip you in. We're going to trim those nails, goddammit, and maybe we'll get you some K-Swiss shoes or something. I love my sandals. No, you just K-Swiss, maybe a boot or something like that. It doesn't matter what shoe I have. I'm willing to suffer for others. Buddy, you are a real fucking freak. I love it. I'm starting to love the cut of your jib. Come on, we're going to get an Uber to Burbank. An Uber? Yeah, a car service? A car service? Yeah, ride share? A ride share? Boy, you really don't know much, do you? I'm Jesus Christ. Okay. Come on, I'm Moses. Let's do this, pal. All right, next. Nope. No. Okay, now it's on to the suggestions. Now, the suggestions. These are your suggestions. You've submitted your suggestions, and we will now be going through them. Again, I've not seen anything before. Let's do this shit. Oh, wait, here. Let's see. You guys said you wanted me to read the comments. Okay. Yep, like Down and Out in Beverly Hills. Great. You saw a bunch of cute dogs in short time. Great. Dog Jesus. Yeah. Okay, great. I'm glad I did this. It was good. Thank you. That went well. I enjoyed your comments. Okay, suggestions. Crystal meth. Crystal meth is the suggestion. Doesn't crystal meth sound a little like, it makes it sound better than it is. It makes it sound like it's something Indiana Jones would be after, like Indiana Jones and the search for crystal meth. But in reality, it's just a hardcore drug, but it sounds way better like crack. That's good, right? Crack. It's on your ass. It's kind of dirty, right? Fucking smoke it. Crack pipe, right? But crystal meth, sounds affluent, right? Would you like some crystal meth with your tea? I'll have one lump. Thank you so much. But yeah, crystal meth, I believe crystal meth is it not? I think that is Special K. I'm not sure. It must not be. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I know when I was in Boston, I was friends with a gay couple who loved crystal meth. And they loved a lot of drugs, but they really, really had an affinity for crystal meth. And they would go clubbing, and they would smoke a lot of crystal meth. And then my girlfriend at the time moved in to one of the guys' bedrooms, and she just found like all this like methy stuff like all over the place. But yeah, meth. I mean, like meth is not a great drug. I mean, there's a lot of downsides to meth, right? Meth gives you, it's a way to get rid of your adult teeth, right? And maybe people who smoke meth don't know that after baby teeth, that's it. That's your last set of teeth for life right there. But apparently, it's just they just start dropping out, right? That's why it sounds too classy. Crystal meth sounds like it would like give you like nice veneers, but instead you smoke it and you're like kink, kink. And it also makes you peel at your skin a lot, you got that methy look. It's not a great look. It's a great way to lose weight, but it ages you so much. People who even quit crystal meth, you're like forever look like you smoked meth, That's not to say don't clean up your act. I found that with cocaine too, that I think people who used to do a ton of cocaine always seem like they're on cocaine. So like coke heads back in the day who don't do coke anymore, they still are kind of cokey. They still talk a lot. They talk at you. They smoke a shitload of cigarettes. Yeah, I would say that if I were dying, I would probably try a little crystal meth. It would either be that or heroin. I'd be like, like if they say a meteor's coming to Earth, I'll do meth, right? You're not going to need teeth where you're going, right? Just ask Jesus. He's a hobo. Saw him in the park the other day. He looked methy. Jesus has a nice meth look. Skinny, good beach body. All right, we'll move on from crystal meth. And that's, by the way, saying I'm going to move on for crystal meth is the easiest that anyone's ever quit crystal meth. So why don't we just move on? Boxing with a kangaroo. Well, the problem, boxing with a kangaroo is a suggestion. I don't even like that phrasing because that implies that two parties know what they're doing. One party doesn't know he's like boxing for fun, Like a human boxing a kangaroo, it's just fucked up. It's one of those things that about is like I knew about it growing up, like in cartoons. I'd see like a kangaroo boxing and I'd be like, ha ha ha, ha, that's hilarious. But then the older you get, you're like, that's so fucked up, right? Kangaroo doesn't know what kangaroo's like, what is happening? It's freaking out. And a human's like, I've been training for this my whole life. And the kangaroo's like, I like the woods, So it just is rude. But kangaroos can fucking fight. I mean, they really can. They are no joke, right? Like, they can box. They've got, like, good punches, good hooks. The best kangaroo was Jacked Kangaroo. I can't remember his name. But the Jacked Kangaroo who had, like, pecs, abs, you know? He was just like the Baywatch of kangaroos. He just had a fucking banging body, you know? Even as a guy, I was like, that dude is awesome. That's a good kangaroo. He works out, you know? But how do you get that jacked as a kangaroo? Is he just there like, fuck it, you know? Lose that pouch weight. I know the males don't have pouches. I don't know if you've ever seen a kangaroo give birth. It's one of the craziest things ever. The way it happens is that when the kangaroo gives birth, it basically looks like it had a gummy bear come out of it. I'm not kidding. It's a gummy-roo, which, by the way, has got to be an Australian candy. Gummy-roos. They're fucking delicious. Try new gummy-roos. Gummy-roos. Hey, you'll be glad you did. But so then the little baby kangaroo crawls up the mother's body. Like it would be like me scaling a building. That's the equivalent. And then it just slips into the little pouch where it just lives in mucus and just gets milk. I believe it gets milk from inside the pouch. Maybe I'm wrong. But it just lives in there until it becomes a kid. That's what they call it. Until a little baby kangaroo, and then it's pouched out. But they are, like, if you weren't careful, you'd see a baby kangaroo on the ground. You'd be like, oh, look at that, a gummy bear. Oh, God, what the fuck flavor is this? That's not good. They shouldn't make those. That's not good. So, yeah. But it is bullshit. I think, like zoos and circuses and anything where they're putting animals on display and they're, it's shitty. Don't attend these events. No more bullfighting, no more kangaroo boxing. Just leave it all, please. Enough. These animals don't know what's going on. All right, here we go. Wicker shoes. Is that real? Who? That's got to be old. I mean, have you ever sat on Wicker? It's not a pleasant ride. I can't imagine walking around in it. It just feels like you're walking barefoot through a forest the whole time. You know, you're like, ow, 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 oh my God. I don't know. It's weird. It feels like if that is something that's happening, just get a pair of Crocs. If you're willing to walk around in Wicker shoes, just get some goddamn Crocs, which people think are shit. I don't know why people shit on Crocs so much. If it's comfy, wear it, right? Not to keep bringing up Jesus, but he had the right idea. Mandals and a gown. That's all you need. Mandals and a gown. Maybe a little thing for water, but outside of that really is all you have to have. But I can't understand. Oh, I'm looking at some right now. Oh, I mean, yeah, they're dumb. They are dumb. They are not good. They're dumb. I'm officially on record. It's like, I mean, are they expensive? They're expensive. See, this is what's stupid. Why pay all this money for something that sucks so much? Right? Like, hey, do you like my bark pants? You know what I mean? Like, we don't need to be wearing wood. We've figured it out. No leather, but I mean, we've got other, I've not gotten a new pair of shoes in like 3 years. I made a deal with myself that I was just, until this last pair of shoes is falling off me, I'm done. So Wicker shoes, that's like a rich person thing to get. Like, you know what I need are Wicker shoes. It's like, no, you fucking don't. You don't need Wicker. Stop. You seen the Wicker Man? Yeah, it's a slippery slope. One day you're wearing Wicker shoes. The next day you're on the ground and someone's pouring bees into your wicker head. And then you're punching ladies. You're Nicolas Cage. It's not, just knock it off, okay? Good Lord, Wicker fucking shoes. McMillions. Very specific. You're lucky I've seen it. McMillions is a documentary that HBO did about people who ripped off the Monopoly game. It was like an inside job. And they ripped off McMillions. You know, when you play the little like Monopoly game with McDonald's and you know, like these people would basically just be like, hey, you want to win $1 million through McDonald's? And someone would be like, what's the catch? And they'd be like, give me $500,000 and don't tell anybody. And people would be like, okay. And then like the FBI like busted it up. And, you know, it really goes to show you how corrupt Ronald McDonald is. I mean, for as happy as he is and for the house that he opened for the children, the guy has a dark past. Ronald McDonald has a dark past, right? He's killed, right? Absolutely. Hamburglar, murdered, dead. We all remember the pictures. Hamburglar dead at the crime scene. Ronald McDonald didn't take shit, you know? He'd just show up and Grimace would be like, hey, what the fuck am I? He'd be like, yo, Grimace, shut the fuck up, okay? Huh? I need you to whack the Hamburglar. And he's like, oh, I don't know. I don't really have arms or anything, and I might not even sound like this. And he's like, hey, you big piece of purple shit. Shut your mouth, all right? You're like a fucking goofy eggplant. Hamburglar's gone too far. Well, what did he do? He stole hamburgers from us. Well, boy, they're only like 79 cents each. Hey, he stole it. How do we know who he is? I've only seen that guy with the mask on. Well, that's him. Well, what does he look like under the mask? He looks what do you fucking tell? He's a hamburglar. He looks the same. Doesn't do anything. All right? I want you to give him a Canadian necktie. Huh? What's that? Where I buy him a bow tie? No. That's where you cut his throat and you take his tongue through and you let it dangle out of the hole like a necktie. Jesus Christ, Ronald, you're fucking crazy. Hey, I'll cut you purple, man. All right? You look like a goddamn dog dick. Relax. All right? Why do they call you Grimace if you're never grimacing? I guess that is a bit of a quandary, isn't it? Ha ha ha. You know? But McMillions is a good documentary. McMillions is one of those documentaries where it's like they made it and they could have made it 5 episodes and they were like, let's make it 12. And you're like, hey, I don't need to see, you know, they really fucking milk the plot, right? But yeah, it's, you know, if there's nothing to watch, I'd watch McMillions. But again, do not cross Ronald McDonald. He is an evil, evil, evil man. Evil man. Being taken down a peg. It's good. That's good. Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's good to be taken down a peg. You got to get taken down pegs every now and then. Also, fun to take someone down a peg, right? But that's such an old, that has to be like some sort of pirate thing, right? Where you take someone down a peg, you just like shorten their little leg a little bit. You'd be like, yar, I'm sorry I messed up earlier, Captain. And he's like, well, we're going to have to take you down a peg. He's like, no, but then I'll wobble like this. He's like, well, listen, you got a big attitude. It's time for us to adjust you. We're going to take you down a peg. He's like, no, Captain, please. He's like, no, get the sandpaper. No, not the sandpaper. Get the saw. Not the saw. Get the sandpaper. No, we're going to take you down a peg. All right? To show you. Then later he's like, you know, you really did teach me, sir. You really showed me, Captain. I've learned a lot about myself lately. He's like, see, this is why I did it to you. All right? But yeah, I mean, you know, it's just another thing you miss in the pandemic. Taking people down a peg, getting taken down a peg. It used to, you know, we used to be able to interact and talk shit to each other, you know? I mean, I mean, really, that is like a big, I mean, I feel like that's what Twitter is. Twitter is it's an app where you take people down a peg, or you get taken down a peg. Right? I posted something today where I was just like, you know, Dianne Feinstein. I think I said I was going to get a dog, but I decided to adopt Dianne Feinstein instead because she already knows how to roll over and play dead. Right? Took her down a peg. Some people didn't like it. They came at me, taking me down a peg. You know, I go back at them. I go, hey, I don't care what you think. You take me down a peg, I'll take you down a peg. Now we're on the same peg. Right? All right, there we go. That's taken down a peg. Jose's Tinder profile. That's good. Yeah, well, he's not on Tinder. He's on Pussy Match. He's on Feline Fine. He's on what's the one called? He's on Plenty of Fish. But he thought it was a snack site. Jose's Tinder profile. So it would probably. I'm not even sure. I think he's 6. Is he 6 or 7? He's probably 6. He's not 5. No, he's not 5. In some people's heads, Jose's been 5 for 6 years. He's 5. Okay, so it'd be like, well, the first picture would be him by the fireplace, which that's a good shot, right? And that would be the first picture. Jose, 5, and that's in quotes. Jose 5. I mean, everyone lies about their age in LA, so he'd be 5. Jose 5, right? And it would just say, celebrity cat, these thoughts are my own. Let's do this, ladies. And then you'd have the standard pictures. You'd have Jose in his hammock, chilling. And we would need to get one. Well, everybody on Tinder has a picture with a tiger. So I don't know what this. I guess you would have a picture with Joe Exotic. I guess that is the cat version of a tiger pic. So you'd have a picture with Joe Exotic or something like that. You know, he just did CatCon. So you'd have a screenshot from CatCon showing also then one of him eating, eat blah, 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 shit like that. And and then I would imagine he would. He's 5. Okay, so he is 5. He's been 5 for fucking 35 years. He's young. He's been 5 forever. What a lucky boy. But yeah, I would, and then I would have to I would have to arrange these rendezvous, but, it'd be like, swipe right if you like to pet people for 6 seconds and then get bitten, And he would also lie about his weight, obviously. That's what you do. That's what you do. He'd post a kitten picture. That's what, you lie about how you look, so he'd post a kitten picture, and then girl cats would be like, oh my God, he's so young, I can't wait. And then they'd see him and be like, oh my God. I didn't know when we met at the cat cafe that you're not a kitten anymore. He's like, oh yeah, some of those pics are a little older. Anyway, how you doing? She's like, good, how old are you? He's like, 5. She's like, what year were you born? He's like, I don't want to get into years. I'm really 7. But I just say I'm 5 on my Tinder pic. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, and then you'd have to bid the big reveal. Ladies, I just want to be upfront about this. I do not have balls. I used to have balls. From what my owner tells me, some sick veterinarian took them from me for no reason, so I'm ballless. And they'd go, oh, that's okay, I got spayed. And he'd be like, whoa, what's spayed? And they'd be like, it means that we don't have ovaries. He's like, oh, what are ovaries? And they're like, well, it's like our baby makers. And he's like, oh, you mean your balls? And they're like, no, it's not our balls, it's our ovaries. They're inside. Oh, so you got inside balls? Yeah, I guess we got inside balls. Oh, okay, and you don't have those anymore? No, so I can't get pregnant. Oh, all right, I like what you're thinking. Well, it was against my will. Hey, I don't need your life story. I just got the green light for porking. Hey! So that's Jose Tinder. Okay. I swear to God, this says advice for 16-year-old Gareth, and I thought it said advice for 16-year-old girls, and I was like, what the fuck? That's not going to go well. Just keep figuring it out, girls. Go get them. Advice for 16-year-old Gareth. Well, I would say stop smoking Camel-Wide Lights. It feels good on the way in, and it does not look cool to other people. I don't know why you're obsessed with Camel Wides, just this short, fat, dumpy cigarette. It was basically like the me of cigarettes. Just kind of short, plump, and just wouldn't last that long. But that's what I was obsessed with, was Camel. So I would tell myself, I would say, stop smoking Camel Wide Lights, move yourself to something like a Marlboro Medium, like a standard man grit, something manly. I'd also advise myself to get a new car soon because the clutch is about to drop out of the Volkswagen Jetta that I drive, meaning that eventually it's just going to have gear 1, 3, and then reverse is going to go. For the rest of your life, you're going to be plagued with these nightmares where you're sort of just like you're about to do a play and you can't remember your lines because of much ado about nothing. You didn't rehearse your line. All right, relax, dude. Hey, don't tell me to relax, okay? You smoke too much weed. Fucking cop. And I'm not a cop. I like weed too, asshole. Okay? Just relax with it. I know what you're going to do. You're going to go to Rebecca O'Neill's house tonight. You're going to listen to Peter Tosh. You're going to go to her room up there and you're going to eat 100-calorie snack packs, aren't you? Whoa. Yeah, whoa. Right? So straighten it up. And by the way, your mother knows you're smoking weed. No, she doesn't. Yes, she does. Yes, she does. You need to really be more effective with those eye drops. And you know what you're going to do eventually? What? You're going to bring a second set of clothes. What? Yes. When you go to hang out with people and you're partying, you're going to bring a second set of clothes. Why? So that you can change clothes. You'll have party clothing. What does that mean? That means when you go to a place, you'll go there and get dropped off by your mom in one outfit, right? Okay. Then, when you get to the place, you'll go to the bathroom and you'll put on your party clothes. My party clothes, a similar outfit, but just something you could smoke and drink in. Wow, I'm crazy. Yeah, we're crazy, okay? Then, when it's time for your mother to pick you up, 20 minutes before you have to leave, you're going to spray yourself down, you're going to take off the party clothes, and you're going to put on the original clothes. Then you're going to put party clothes back in your bag. That's crazy. It's crazy, but it's kind of genius. It is kind of genius. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. All right? Okay. All right, I'll see you. Hey, wait. Let me ask you a question, man. Yeah? Do I get laid a lot? You do pretty good. Take care, kiddo. Thanks, you old piece of shit. Yeah, fuck you, you young piece of shit. So that would be me talking to me as a youth. Okay. When did you decide to become a vegetarian and why? I decided to become a vegetarian I was a vegetarian a number of times. When I was a kid, I remember watching this video of a kid probably about 5 or 6 years ago, and it's this little Italian kid, and he's eating squid that his mother prepared for him. And the kid is like, Mom, what is this? And she goes, oh, this is squid. And he goes, oh. And then he's like, where does it come from? And she goes, oh, well, squid comes from the ocean. And he goes, oh. And he's like, it was alive? And she's like, yeah, it was alive. And he goes, oh. And then he looks at it, and she goes, is that okay? And he goes, well, what about chicken? She's like, well, chicken doesn't come from the sea. And he goes, no, but is chicken from the chicken? And she goes, well, yeah. And he gets really upset, and he goes, I don't think I want to eat it anymore. And she starts crying behind the camera. She's touched by it. Even when I was a kid, I would eat meat, and I was like, the second that I made the connection that it was something living, it just kind of fucked with me. Like, I was just kind of like, like, I don't know about this. And then so I was on and off for a while, and then probably about 10 years ago, I read a book called Skinny Bastard, and it really is just about the treatment of animals in the kill floors and the meat processing plants and stuff. And it was just fucking horrifying. And it just really, I don't want to say humanized the animals, but it gave animals more character than I had ever really given them credit for. You know, for some reason, like, we've really figured, like, we're like, we eat cows and pigs, and you're like, well, what about a dog? And we're like, we don't eat dogs. And you're like, well, why? And it's like, because they're friendly. And you're like, well, so are fucking pigs. And so the second that I started to kind of pull that thread a little bit, I was like, nah, I can't do this. And I can't do it. It just, it sucks, unfortunately. So that's why. And that's when. How old do I feel that I am? That's a very good question. I would say I probably feel like I'm 30. I'm 10 years older than that. And, and I would say I feel 30. I feel young. I mean, I a lot of times can't believe. I forget my age a lot, too. Speaking of Tinder, Dave Anthony and I were one time in Torrance, Australia, and I thought I was 37. And I go to him, I forgot how old I am. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I'm like, I think I'm 37. And he goes, okay. And then I go, wait. And then how I found out was I went to my Tinder profile, and it said 36. And I go, hey, I'm 36. All right, you know. So I have never really paid that much attention to my birthday or my age or anything like that. But yeah, I think I'm like a bit of a man-child. So I would say I feel like I'm a 30-year-old who acts like he's 28, who believes he's 25. So it's pretty pathetic over here. Okay. Christmas Hallmark movie pitch. Okay. Well, I don't know if my dad is watching, but mine would be called The Christmas Parent Present Trap. And what I would do is I would talk to my dad, and I'd be like, hey, Dad, you know, I'm thinking of throwing like a big Christmas bash this year. And he'd be like, oh, you are? And I go, yeah, big bash. And he'd go, oh, okay, well, I suppose I can come to your big Christmas bash. And I go, great, that'll be great. Yeah, come to my big Christmas bash. He's like, okay. And then I go to my mother and I go, hey, Mom. And she go, yes? And I'd say, hey, I'm throwing a big Christmas bash this year. And she'd go, you're throwing a Christmas bash, but you've never really been one for holidays. And I go, I know. I guess I'm turning over a new leaf. And this is me now. This is me this age. And she goes, oh, okay, yes. And then the night of the Christmas bash, we reveal that there's no Christmas bash. It's just one table in my yard with 2 chairs and some candles. And then my dad shows up, and he's got like a bottle of wine. He goes, I brought this. I didn't know what else to bring. I go, oh, Dad, that's perfect. It's a Merlot. I go, oh, it's great. He goes, do you like Merlot? And I go, I love Merlot. You Merlot it. I love Merlot. And I put it down. I go, oh, why don't you come into the house? The party's out back, but why don't we just give it a minute? He goes, oh, okay. And then the doorbell rang, and I go, oh, Dad, yeah, go outside and go sit at that table. The guests are still showing up. And you go, should I bring the Merlot? And I go, no, you brought it for me. Don't you know how this fucking works? You go, your language is abysmal. And I go, Dad, I'm sorry, okay? Please just go sit at the table. Oh, okay. And then my mother goes, sorry, I'm not late, am I? I brought you a bottle of Cabernet. And I go, oh, Cabernet, that's great. And she goes, do you like Cabernet? I'd say, Cabernet, yeah, Cabernet is great. And she goes, do you really mean that? And I go, Cabernet, more like Cabaret. Hey, why don't you just go in that room for a second? People are still starting to show up. And she goes, oh, okay. And then I'd wait a minute, and then I'd go, all right, Mom, now it's time for you to go outside. And she'd go, oh, thank you. And then she'd go outside, and she'd see my father for the first time in like 30 years. And she'd be like, Peter, what are you doing here? And he'd be like, I don't know. What are you doing here? She'd be like, well, I'm here for Garth's big Christmas bash. And he'd say, well, I'm here for Gareth. Who's Garthy? I'm here for Gareth's big Christmas bash. She'd say, Garthy's a nickname we call him. Well, I've never called him Garthy. Well, you should maybe start. Well, fine, Garthy. I'm here for Garthy's Christmas bash. Well, why is it just the 2 of us? Yes, why is it just the 2 of us? And then at the same time, they'd look at the house and go, why is it just the 2 of us? And I'd be standing there, and I'd be like, surprise! There's no Christmas bash. I want you 2 to get back together. And my mother'd be like, my life is completely separate from you. I've completely moved on. 100. What are you talking about? You're 40. Yeah, but I want you guys to be together. Here, sit down. I have a whole night prepared for you guys. And it starts with a song. Oh, man, just stop singing. What are you doing? You an idiot. No, I want you guys to get back together because then we can go on family vacations and we can do all the stuff I didn't get to do as a kid. And we can take family pictures together and we can go out to restaurants and we can celebrate with one another. And when we go out, sometimes people will say, well, how long have you 2 been together? And you guys will be like, oh, gosh, we don't even know. It's been so long. And I'll finally have parents, and maybe it's not too late to have a baby brother. It's entirely too late to have a baby brother. Well, not with that attitude it is, but maybe we can figure it out. Become a family again. Look, I've got a bunch of other kids if you need a baby brother. No, I want a baby. And this is why it's the Christmas present parent trap. Why is it called a trap? Because I put electrified collars on you guys, and you can't leave the yard until you make me a baby brother. This is taking a weird turn. Yeah, it's a Hallmark movie, but it's a new brand. It's called Hallmark. What the hell's wrong with you? I've been smoking crystal meth. And then it's credits. And that would be my Hallmark Christmas movie. So there you go. You're welcome. If Hallmark wants to do it, let's fucking do this. Are you anti-breakfast at night? Oh. No, I'm not. I am not anti-breakfast at night, okay? I just find it weird that Dave Anthony eats toast at any time during the day. What is he, in college? He's just walking around eating toast all the time. It's fucking weird, okay? I'll eat breakfast foods at night, okay? Every now and then. But I'm not going to walk around. The dude is just eating too much fucking toast at night, okay? I'm against night toast. And this is not about sourdough. People have turned this into a sourdough thing. Sourdough, if you're watching, I am not attacking you. This is purely a toast issue. Now, if he's putting peanut butter on the toast, I'm listening. But he's not. He's just eating it like a psychopath. Time will age my argument well, okay? There we go. Bad car parkers. Oh, man. Shit. So many thoughts rush into my head. Like watching, how great is it to just be like sitting somewhere and watch a bad parallel park? You know? On like a busy street, like on a 2-lane street where one person's like, I gotta figure this out for the first time. And you could tell they're cutting it too hard early. You're like, you don't stand a chance. You know? I love those. You know what I love even more than that, though, is when someone jaywalks and it goes horribly. I love when someone's just like, I can make it, and they get like halfway in the middle of the street, and then they're like, oh, shit. And then they're just like standing in between like traffic going back and forth, like, no, like this, like standing in between two subway cars going in opposite directions. But I would say even worse than bad car parkers are the space freaks. The people who, like, 30 feet of walking to them makes a world of difference. You know? When it's, like, busy somewhere you're going, and you're just, like, doing the thing where you're just kind of just bobbing and weaving looking for anything, and then you get the person who sees someone exiting the store, and, like, the lights go, like, beep, beep, so they've, like, unlocked their car, and the person is like, oh, that's perfect. Just sitting there with their signal on while you're behind them like, what the fuck? Well, the person's like, well, I should probably take my time loading the groceries in the trunk this time. 1 carton, and then a head of lettuce. I'll do it one by one. And then the person's sitting there like, with their blinker on, and you're sitting behind like, what the fuck? Those people are the greatest. I remember actually my dad once, we were at Northridge Shopping Center. It's not there anymore. And someone was waiting for him to leave. And my dad was like, look at this guy. This guy's got his turn signal on waiting for me to leave. And I'm like, okay, well, let's leave. And he's like, look at him. And then my dad gets out of the car, slams his door, and he goes to the back of the car, and he goes, I'm waiting for someone. And then the guy took off, and then he got back in, and I was like, we're not waiting for someone. He's like, no, I know, but screw that guy. I was like, oh, okay. But then you also have the people, like, what about, like, there's people who care about their bumpers. I'm, like, never been someone who cares about my bumper. Like, the bumper to me is, like, it's supposed to get banged up a little bit. You know what I mean? You're supposed to scar it up. It's a well-led life if you got a scarred bumper. Right? People are like, oh, it's so precious. The backup camera changed everything. That's what we're going to tell our kids about. You know, they'll be like, why do you act like parking so hard when you're a kid? You're like, because we didn't have backup cameras. We couldn't tell the distance with any real approximation between our bumper and where this other car was. It was so hard before the backup camera. Remember you'd always be like, you need the person to be like, more, stop, go to the front, more. But now the backup camera, you're just like, and I got this shit. It always surprises me how much room I have. Like if I were going on my intuition, I'd be like leaving like 3 feet. But no, the backup camera's like, I got you. Plus the beeper. You know, the way it's like, beep, 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 beep. You're like, oh, thank you, car. But like I said last week, my car beeps too much. My car beeps like I was an emergency room doctor in 85. Like every time like there's a car near me, my car's like, there's a car near you. I'm like, yeah, no, I know what a freeway is. I can handle this. Like, oh my God, there's cars everywhere. I'm like, yeah, no, this is the freeway. There's going to be a lot of cars. It's like, beep, beep, beep. There's a car behind you. I don't want you to freak out, but there's one behind you and one in front of you. I'm like, would you just shut the fuck up with the beeping? It's like, beep, 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 no swearing. I'm the worst car ever. So yeah, there you go. That's bad car parkers. Oh, I used to actually be a valet parker. And we used to be great car parkers. But you'd also break parking meters. And I was a ballet parker. That was my first job. When I worked at Comedy Sports as a kid, I was a ballet parker. I wore a tutu, and I would direct people to parking spots. I would go around the parking lot directing people to parking spots and pirouetting. It was a job. Okay. Cat, hat versus hat, cat? What the fuck is your suggestion? Cat, hat versus hat, cat. I guess you're asking me, would I rather a cat in a hat or would I rather a hat made from cat? And I guess my answer is I would rather a cat in a hat because I don't approve of the idea of wearing a hat as a cat hat. No. Were you on acid when you wrote this? This is like a palindrome almost. This is like cat hat versus hat cat. Am I supposed to know what either of those are? What the fuck is what a cat? So a cat hat's just a hat a cat wears, and a hat cat, I don't know. So we're gonna just move along. No idea what's happened. You reach out to me. Reach out. Let's figure this out. This is a troubling suggestion. Oh, my dad is in the chat? Oh, what's he doing in there? Let's see. Daddy Reynolds, I'm in tears now. Thanks, Garfy. Oh, God. See, this is my dad's dream. Guys, my dad is living his dream. Daddy Reynolds, thanks for spawning, Garrett. Dad. What a fucking trip. Hummingbirds is a suggestion. Hummingbirds. Great suggestion. Hummingbirds. I remember when I found out that hummingbirds flap their wings 100 times a second, and I was like, that's off. And someone's like, no, that's true. I don't know how we've measured that. You know, there has to just be some guy who's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's 100. Yep, it's 100. 100, write it down. And someone's like, it's 100. Todd said 100. But they're amazing. Hummingbirds are amazing. They're just like the most elegant little birds, and they love nectar. I mean, come on. They're like myths, right? And the hummingbirds, like some hummingbirds have different noses than other hummingbirds. Like there's certain places where like the flowers will have like the nectar deep, deep inside the flower. And regular hummingbirds are like, I can't get that nectar. And then you got the Pinocchio hummingbird that's like, what's up, motherfuckers? You know, just like railing like cocaine and Robert Downey Jr. in 1984. You know, they just got these long Pinocchio snouts, and the regular hummingbirds are like, you're weird looking. He's like, am I weird looking, or am I fucking eating like a king tonight? So yeah, and they're amazing. They really are. Like, I have a hummingbird feeder outside of my place. It's not done well. There's nothing more sad than when you're like, I'll be surrounded by all my hummingbird friends. And then you go out and you're like, hello? Hello? You know who likes a hummingbird? Jose. Jose sees a hummingbird and he's like, what the fuck are you? Like, you know, but they're just so cute. They're just the cutest little. I thought about getting a hummingbird tattoo. And then someone was like, that's not on brand. I was like, oh, okay, that's fair. But yeah, they really are. They're just like these amazing, amazing little creatures. So I'm pro hummingbird. How do they have sex, I wonder? I think that about a lot of animals in nature. Like, I'm like, how do they fuck? You know? And then sometimes you see them fuck and you're like, well, that's weird. You know? Like ant sex. I'm not talking about sex with your dad's sister. Sorry, Dad. But I'm talking about, like, you know, like you see like ants fuck and you're like, oh, that was weird. Or like there's so many animals in nature that like there's the courting takes months, you know? You'll just be watching a documentary and they'll be like, slowly the male lion finds the female, but she's not ovulating at the right time. She's not ready. She again rebuffs him. 2 weeks later, he approaches and rubs some of his scent on the log. She sniffs the log and walks away, again telling him no. And then 2 months later, he finally is ready, and he's shown up, and she's decided she picked him as the mate. And the problem is then the dude comes right away. Like, the lion gets on the back. He's like, all right, bam, I'm done. I finished. And she's like, what? That was 6 months. And he's like, you've made it too good. I built it up in my head so much, you know? And then he goes over to his lion buddies, like, how was that? He's like, that was pretty good. She loved it. And then, like, the other lion, she's like, that was over really fast. And they're all laughing. And then he's smoking a cigarette, like, what the fuck? You know? But actually, I think a rhino, I believe this is true, some rhinos have one orgasm a year, and it lasts like 40 minutes. So it's like they fuck, and then it's just the pump and dump. It is like a fucking fire hose, you know? Just building up. And this is rhino semen, too. This is not human. This is like, you know what I mean? Like, big ones. All right, here we go. Mothman? What? Who's Mothman? I don't know him. Is that a real superhero? Look it up, will you? I feel like Mothman is maybe a character. I remember Mothra from Godzilla, but Mothman. Let's see, Mothman. Oh, what the fuck? What? Okay, so it is a person. Well, I don't think I should say it's a person. It is a half moth, half person. So, I mean, again, if we're talking about parents. You know, we're talking about Montagues and Capulets here. So someday, some dude banged a moth? That's just, you know, that's where you just put like one of those bike lights right on your pubis. And then the moth's like, what's that light? And you're like, ugh, what did I do? And then the moth's like, oh my God. And then 9 months later, or however long a moth has to hold on to a baby, out comes Mothman. Mothman would be one of the easiest superheroes to distract, surely. You know, you can't have like a bat signal for a moth. You'd be like, we need Mothman. Put up the moth signal. Where is he? He flew into it. He's gone. What? We put up the moth signal. And he was so attracted to the light, he flew right into the bulb. He's no more. Jesus Christ. Well, that's the end of our city. Yeah, Mothman was far too simple. Just with his dusty little moth wings, you know? What's Mothman's lair? He lives inside of an old cardigan. What? Yes. That's Mothman's lair. He lives inside of an old cardigan in a closet from the 70s. He loves it. He's just in there like, and then he sees the moth signal. So I've just learned about Mothman personally. So it's a lot to take in for me. Oh God, what's the most expensive thing I ever stole? Fuck. I know right away. A baby. They're priceless. No, I one time when I first moved to LA, this is shitty. Let me just say right off the bat, this is shitty. I was really drunk with a few friends of mine, and you know outside of grocery stores, they just have some stuff? They're always just like, hey, water. That's sitting outside. You want some? Come on inside. And most people are like, well, I'll go inside and buy that water. You know? Sometimes it's like Home Depot. It's like patio furniture and shit. Well, for some reason, they had a grill. They had like 2 grills in front of the grocery store. And I lived maybe like half mile from the grocery store. Me and 3 of my buddies were hammered. And we were like, let's take the grill. And the grill was probably like, it was like a grill. It was probably like $300 or something. And we just started wheeling the grill down the street to my place. And actually, another time, my friend and I, we were walking back from a bar. They all involve being drunk. They all involve being drunk. My friend and I were walking back from the bar, and some drunk driver had, like, hit a mailbox and knocked it over. And I lived again, block away. So I said to my buddy, let's take it. And he was like, okay. And we picked up a United States, this is illegal, so I probably shouldn't be confessing this. We picked up a United States Postal Service blue mailbox and took it up to my apartment. And then the next morning I woke up like, oh, man, I'm fucking hungover. And then I like looked at it. I was like, what the fuck did I do? No. And then so we wiped off our fingerprints because we were like, obviously they'll bring in a forensic team for this operation. And then we went to where it was and we just threw it back on the street. But so my 2 answers, a grill and a United States mailbox, which is a sin. All right, what's my dad doing in the chat? Is he kicking it still? Where's my dad? No? Has he shut up? Dad? Father? Father? Daddy? Dad? Did my dad leave the show? What a piece of shit. What should your fans be called? That's a good one. What should my fans be called? Gareholics? The Gare Bears? The Gare Bears could be good. We're the Gare Bears. And then you guys can wear little shirts with my face on them, like the Care Bears. You know? The Care Bears, I think that's a big problem with, like, when I was a kid, you grew up with the Care Bears, and the Care Bears were, like, the sweetest thing in the world. I was thinking that the other day. I grew up with, like, Care Bears and Mr. Rogers. You know? I think the meaning of life is to get to as close to Mr. Rogers as you can. Someone asked earlier about being a vegetarian. There's a great clip of Mr. Rogers talking about why he's a vegetarian. And he said, he just never made sense to him to eat animals. But he still ate fish. And he just never put it together. And then someone said, well, why do you eat fish? And he said, I like fish. And they said, not if you eat them, you don't. And then he said he thought about it, and he had a fish tank on his show where he had fish, and he's eating fish. And he felt like that was fucked up. So, not his words. I mean, it was really fucked up. No, he felt like it was weird, so he stopped. Like, the dude was perfect in every way. Mr. Rogers is like one of the only cultural figures that just still stands the test of time. I mean, he's just amazing. But yeah, maybe the Gare Bears. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, Gare Bears. That seems to be going over well. Okay. Oh, no. Someone said no. Dickheads, someone else said. Oh, dinglegarys. That's not. Don't do that. Oh, we got a camera down. So here, we'll do some more comments real quick. Care Bear stare? Sure, Care Bear stare. Yeah, I like the Care Bear stare. My father, I am too ashamed. My father's last words in the chat was, I am too ashamed. So that's good, and then he left. Here, I'll say something. Daddy? Papa? Garfunkels? Yeah, I like Care Bears. That's better. Okay, some of you seem to be on board with that, so that's what we'll do. Okay. Wow, that cut on my arm is pretty good. That's from the oven. I've got 2 oven scars. Oh, you can only see one of them. Okay, Dad's not there anymore. All right, next suggestion is... is it going? Cat food ads that promise shiny coats and sparkling eyes. Yeah, I mean, it's weird. I've often thought how weird it is to shop for cat food. You know? It's the weirdest thing when you're like putting yourself in the headspace of your cat. You know, you're like walking around and you're like, chicken livers, beef. You know, you're like, what would I eat if I was a cat and I like canned food? But yeah, they do. They make, I mean, they really like, I don't know. I mean, cat food that ads that promise shiny coats and sparkling eyes. You know, it's a hard thing to get your money back on, you know? Can't show up at the headquarters of Blue Diamond or whatever they're called and be like, excuse me, this cat's coat is not very shiny, and look at these eyes, they're dead, you know? And they're like, well, what did they look like before? The same. Well, you can't prove that. Well, his coat is not very shiny, so I'd like him buffed, please. I want a shiny coat, and I want sparkling eyes. But I also think it's very funny that now Rachel Ray makes dog food. That's been making me laugh a lot. Rachel Ray, like, chef, right? People were like, Rachel Ray, like 10 years ago. Everyone's like, Rachel Ray, Rachel Ray. Do you really want to follow a chef who now is making dog food? That's not a good move for a chef, right? I've been feeding your family for 10 years. And just so you know, I know what's good. I now make dog food. You make what? Food for dogs. Dogs will eat other dogs' shit. Well, this is good, you know? Like, what the fuck? But people do that too. A lot of times people try to point out to me as a vegetarian and someone who really supports animal rights that my cat eats meat. Yes, my cat eats meat. It's not a double standard. Like, it's not, to me, it's not a double standard. I'm just being like, yeah, whatever. Like, I feed my fucking cat meat. He has to have it. People are like, see? Told ya. You're like, told me what? See? Cat eats meat. You're like, yeah. Yeah. When you're a vegetarian, like, people come at you, like, people try to chip away at it all the time. Anything that people think that you're doing that you think makes you better, I don't think I'm better than people because I'm a vegetarian. I just plan on, you know, trying to save the planet. Whatever. No, but I mean, people really do. People, like, they're ready to, you know, well, why are you a vegetarian? You're like, oh, because of animal rights. Oh, really? Well, you know, they say that plants have feelings too. You're like, yep, they do. You're like, well, see? Not so holy now, are you? You're like, I'm not trying to be holy, just made a choice for myself. You're like, well, you have a cat and you eat vegetables. You sound like a murderer just like the rest of us. You're like, I don't know what the fuck this attack game is. Like, well, just wanted to let you know you're not so goddamn special now, are you, mister? I feed my cat meat. Huh? You know, it's just like, whatever. People feel so attacked by that. I think that a lot, you know, that's why, like, it always drives me crazy the way, like, the right wing is like, they're coming for your burgers. It's like, okay, yeah, we are coming for your burgers. You know why? Because you can't live on a planet that has this much methane coming from all these sources, but a big contributor is cows farting. So, sorry, assholes, and I'm not talking to the cows. They are coming for your burgers. We're all coming. God, your mighty God, he's coming for your burgers. You don't have to have meat with every goddamn meal. That's my problem. I'm just trying to make up for the others. I understand this was about cat food, but we've moved on. Larry the Downing Street cat. Oh, yes, the Downing Street cat. So there is a cat who lives in Downing Street, where the Prime Minister lives. 10 Downing Street is where the Prime Minister lives. And there's this little cat who lives there. and he's pretty amazing. But whose cat I miss? Julian Assange had this cat. I think when he was in the, I believe he was in the Ecuadorian embassy in the UK, and he had a cat, and his cat would wear little ties and all these things, and he just had a cute little fucking cat, you know? Like, I know a lot of people hate Julian Assange. I won't open that can of worms right now, but yeah, no, I mean, it is cute. I mean, cat, look, the thing about a cat is it could not be a more low-maintenance creature. Like, there should not be stray cats, you know? It should just be a government mandate to have a cat. They're really just so fucking easy, you know? It's just a little dude just hanging out. It's really not, it's like a dog. Yeah, a dog takes much more commitment, you know? You gotta walk the dog, and you gotta beg the dog to take shits, and when it does take a shit, you gotta clean up the shit. And while you're cleaning up the shit, the dog's like, hey, how about if I kick grass at you the whole time? And you're like, this is pretty demeaning to begin with. I'm fucking putting your shit in a bag. And the dog's like, you work for me, you little fuck. And you're like, stop kicking soil at my pants, asshole. The dog's like, yeah, you work for me. You know, cats are so chill. They're so low maintenance. My cat just fucking sleeps in a goddamn hammock or in my bed. You know, wants to be pet every now and then. He has an electronic feeder. He needs water and his shit cleaned, and that's it. It's pretty low key, you know. But yeah, I like that there's a cat at Downing Street. I'll say this: the cat is my favorite resident at Downing Street, and Boris Johnson always looks like every time he comes out like he's just like wrestled with the cat and his hair. He's got a weird do going. Okay, chips on a sandwich. Well, okay, chips on a sandwich is a suggestion. So it depends. Well, first of all, either way, I'm in. Okay? If you're talking about potato chips in a sandwich, yes, delicious, let's do this. If you're talking about fries, chips on a sandwich, way better. There is not anything that is not upgraded by the addition of French fries. In England, it's called a chip buddy. What it basically is you take French fries, you put it in bread, and you add butter and ketchup. Now, I know you're probably like, that's not great. It's the fucking best. Chip buddies are amazing. So I'm pro potato chips in a sandwich, gives you that crunch, you know? Like instead of like, you know, because that's, if you have a bag of chips with your sandwich, that's really what you're doing is it's almost like a burger and a pickle. It's like you want to combine them, you know? You want the pickles on the burger. You don't necessarily want to be the person who's like, I have a bite of burger, and no, I've got some pickle, and this is the flavor I want, you know? And that's the same thing with chips on a sandwich. So you put chips on your sandwich, and it's just like instead of having to grab the bag of chips, you're like, you know, and people will give you looks, but fuck them, right? So what? You want some rye bread and some Ruffles? Fuck them. You do you, all right? Great. Chips on a sandwich. That's, by the way, Chips on a Sandwich is the sequel to Snakes on a Plane. It's just Sam Jackson going like, there's motherfucking chips on this motherfucking sandwich. All right. Oh, that's it. All right. We've reached the end. With another one in the books. I have a show this Saturday. You can go to rushtix.com to join the show. Please join me. My dad left. My dad left the chat. What a piece of shit. Oh, it's so great. And now we have to date Gareth. Yes, you do. Thank you guys very much. Yeah, she was really hot. But she was the worst. Yeah, oh, you want Jose, huh? You want Jose. Huh? All right, we'll do some Jose. Next week, Halloween edition. So let's do that. That'll be fun. I don't know if there's anything else. Thank you very much for joining. Oh, boy. Here we go. Here we go. There we go. There we go. He's not happy. I can tell you right now, he's not happy. Not happy. Shh, shh, shh.
His name is Gareth. And he
There you go.
raised
Yeah, it's okay.
His name is Gareth. That's why it's Gareth.